graduation, completion of the study, undergraduate study in biology. So we will jump right into our topic today without further ado, and look at the issue of corruption in Liberia. Um, Liberia is a very funny thing. I remember when I first spoke with Anthony about coming and being a part of the Focus on Africa, Focus on Liberia family. And it was like I was kind of reluctant. And I told him, I said, look, bro, I basically almost give my life, for saying the things that I say. And except for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here today. And that's just the truth. And I told him, I said, I became, after the election of George Weah, I became so weary of Liberia that I kind of like just cut myself off from anything about Liberia. I wouldn't even comment on things on Facebook about Liberia. I just basically stopped interacting with things about Liberia. Even reading news clippings and stuff about Liberia, I just kind of like, divorced myself from it. And there were reasons why, and it's because when you look down, down the road, we're not just looking at the current conditions nationally, but when you look down the road, what gives you hope, what makes you to believe that a country will rise up. When you look down the road, the prognostics is bleak. It is very, 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 very bleak. Nothing looks like it's going to work, even in the near future. To the point that somebody is saying, even if we elect new leaders or new president and a new leadership, how sure are we that we experience reform? How sure are we that we experience change? How sure are we things will change? And one of the reasons why people will say what they're saying is because when they look at the national legislature is a very pivotal body. It's very important. And I want to read something quickly, for our listeners here. I want to read something quickly, and I just want you to they let's look at the legislative powers. All right, in Article 3 of the Liberian Constitution, it stipulates that the legislature as one of the three branches of government that ought to be equal and coordinated based on the principles of checks and balances. The Constitution of Liberia defines the legislature as a model of decentralization by defining counties which are targeted to achieve national growth and development. Okay, so but the main thing I want to say, look here, is the one is as one of the three branches of government that ought to be equal and coordinated based on the principles of checks and balances. Because of time, we're not going to waste our time going through everything, but just on the principles of checks and balances is where I want to focus on today. The principles of checks and balances. The national legislature has a pivotal role, but what has happened in Liberia? Corruption is not just a vampire, but corruption has become legalized in Liberia. And what brings me to this conclusion? We all know the brouhaha that have happened recently with especially Senator Darius Dillon collecting $15,000 that was budgeted for legislative engagement by our legislators to go and do whatever they want to do based on their own desire, their own choices. And I will tell you something, that money was a kickback for passing that $3 million emergency or whatever 6 months budgetary measure that was passed. That money that the legislators received was a bribe by the executive to the members of the legislature so that they can use it for whatever they want to use it, which in other words, just take the money and eat it. And then at the end of the day, there will be no accountability. There's no checks and balances. So it's legalized stealing. That's what it is. And before I go anywhere in this discussion, like I said, today our talk will be very interactive. We'll open the lines, and then Anthony in the back who is our producer, will receive calls, and then people will be able to make statements, but we'll also be able to read their comments. So you can put your comments, and we also encourage you to share the video so that people can be able to watch and also interact. because it's very important. It's legalized stealing. And before I go anywhere in the show, I want to encourage Senator Dillon to put the people money back together, the $15,000, and give it back to them, because that money is a snare. That money, they knew that you were going to take it, and they knew that it was going to tarnish your reputation. See what happened now? You put by taking that money, you put tarpaulin over your light. All right, the light was very bright when you went into the Senate, but First Corinthians 15:33 says, "Be not deceived. Corrupt communication corrupts good manner." It is so difficult for a man like Dillon to remain in the midst of vampires who are only bent on enriching themselves at the benefit of the Liberian people. One question that has come to mind when I look at the national legislature is this: what have they done to better the lot of the typical Liberian man walking down the street? A man without power, a man without influence, a man who has no education, a man who is just an ordinary Liberian John Doe. What have they done to improve his lot? Then I'm talking about the national legislature, both the representative and the House of Senate. What have they done to be able to better the lot of the Liberian people? We haven't seen much since since the induction of the 52nd national legislature. We haven't seen anything. All they have gone to do, we know, is their modus operandi. They run offices to negotiate, to see what they can get on a daily basis from the executive, to pass bogus concession agreements, to pass laws that are not in favor of the Liberian people. And they are just there. All they want to do is what is in it for us. That's all they care about. What is in it for us? Not what is in it for the people. So as they sit there on their watch from the 52nd to the 53rd, now to the 54th, all that they have done is to sit there and watch Liberia get rotting. Our country is rotting. Things are bad. We have sewage running on the streets. Our people cannot have drinking water. Most of the country don't have access to good drinking water. That's just the truth. Most of the country. And guess what? It's not only that, but even our table water is being polluted, because if you look at Montserrat, for instance, the Dew River covers it covers half of the landmark of Monrovia. If you look at it, the swamp and the river, and that river is polluted because the center of the city, all the sewage from those big buildings flow into the Dew River. So you imagine the heavy metals, the pollution is not only the feces, but all the different pollution. And then you have a group of people that we pay handsomely. One of the highest paid, they are some of the highest paid legislators on the face of the earth. With all the pranks, with all the perks and all the paddings that they receive, they have no interest in the people, and we keep electing them. In the case of someone like Edwin Snow, he was in Montserrat because when he saw the CDC's influence, he left Montserrat and went to Bombing. Representing Montserrat, representing Bombing. Then the people in Bombing decided to even reward him more. They sent him to the Senate. And the guy has done nothing for the common man. There are no bills that Snow can show you and say, we passed this bill and it affected the lives of our people in a positive way, positive, tangible way. And this is what we have done. Or it affected the lives of our people in positive, tangible ways. And these are the ways that we have seen that the lives of the people have improved. Nothing. I'll be honest with you. Nothing. So as a result, we just pay a group of people so much money, $15,000 at thereabouts monthly per office, for them to go and then all they care about is their own welfare and their own benefits. This is wrong. And you know who is to blame? We the people. We the people are the ones who are to blame, because we have placed power in a group of people that are unworthy of our trust and our admiration. We call them honorable when they are actually very dishonorable. They've done nothing to even healthcare. How many of them have you here to speak about healthcare? When you ask about people in Liberia, every day you hear young people die from preventable causes of death. Our healthcare system is still rudimentary, still basic. We have not decided to move our processes, our national processes, from a rudimentary subsistence mentality into something that is foundational, something that can sustain us as a nation, something that can translate to real development. Our entire city have only one road. All these legislators that we have in power, they see everything. When you go to the various counties, they see the penury, they see the abject poverty, they see the despondency in the lives of the people, and they go to their destinations and they come back. They don't care to act, to take someone like, for instance, Representative Gray in Montserrat County. What has he done? He's my own man, but what has he done to really merit the vote of the voting populace in that district that he occupies? What has he done? So it's like we pay people to abuse us. We pay people to misuse us. We pay people to seek their own self-aggrandizement at our expense, because everything they have done, it hasn't translated in a positive way to the lives of the common people. It needs to stop. And the only way it can stop, it stops with us having this conversation and educating our people, sensitizing our people. You deserve the officials or the representatives you elect. Every elected position in Liberia, the people have the right to scrutinize and weigh the candidates and make sure that the best candidates are elected to occupy those offices. But no, we do not do that. What we do is we use sentiments, we use our tribal leanings, our tribal politics, and we elect people into office to represent us who are not representatives of us. Okay, in one way, but they are representative of a larger of our community in another way. They represent our malfeasance. They represent the corruption we see in Liberia. Because don't forget now, the people you see in the House of Representatives, the House of Senate, they come from our communities. Case in point, the Honorable Darius Dillon. Okay, Darius Dillon, unfortunately for him, and even the political leader of my party, a woman that I love, that have been knowing for a long time now, Senator Yombi Kanga. Even what's his name? Steve Zago, Jonathan Kapi. These are people that saw Charles Bromsky firsthand. They knew what he stood for. How are they mirroring his ideology? How are they mirroring his mindset, his philosophy in the Liberian Senate? We all cheered. We all went against the CDC government. We all believed that Dillon would have been elected, and Dillon was elected twice at the expense of the CDC government. Everybody called him the light because he spoke on issues. But you know what happened? When you start having meetings and you start thinking about subverting the will of the people, that the trust they placed in you, it rubs off on you and it affects everything about you. Dillon criticized previously all these extra budgetary measures that benefited the national legislature. He criticized them in the past. Why did he take that money? That money was a poison chalice. That money was meant to impugn his character. It was meant to put him in a bad way with the voting populace. Okay? And the truth here is he had no business taking the money. because they have neglected their cardinal function. The reason why the cardinal constitutional responsibility, their fiduciary duty, have been neglected. Checks and balances is what they were created for. How many times have they checked on the national on the executive or even on the judiciary? How many times have they had any kind of balance? Have they demanded accountability from their other or co-equal branches of government? Since they have the constitutional duty to call people in and to make inquiries, how many times have they gone above and beyond? They took almost $1 million, more than $1 million these few days for legislative or whatever nonsense that is. That money, $1 million, will have been used to establish at least one computer lab at the Todman High School, another computer lab at the G.W. Gibson School, and another computer lab, I think, at Nimpo Junior High. We're talking about basically each computer lab, maybe a generator because you need, dependable power. $40,000 to $60,000 can get you a very good generator to run the lab. You need to put air conditioning, the desk, and the computers, everything. You can get everything for less than $200,000 each. So you could have some of the multilateral schools. All right, I'm talking about Zwedru, Vonjama. I think there's another one where Habel or where. But these multilateral schools, you could put computer labs in each one of them because we're in the information technology age. This is where students right now are putting emphasis, governments are putting emphasis on science and technology. But Liberia, we're still placing emphasis on credentials and not on education. So as a result, we've got, the reason why? We have people who occupy a place where the budget is examined, the budget is weighed, and the budget is scrutinized. We have people doing the scrutinizing of budgets who have no understanding of how things work, who have no understanding of what needs to be done or how things need to be done. So as a result, they are there and they just go to work every morning. Like many of them are very ignorant of their responsibilities. They don't even know why they are in the office that they occupy. They don't know how powerful their voices are. They don't know how weighty their decision making is. So from Madam Salif to now, we saw the subjugation of the national legislature by the executive because of the greed of the legislators. We saw under Madam Salif, many deals were passed. We talk about the concession agreements. 68 concession agreements were signed by the legislators, and when they were examined, 64 could not pass muster. And I will tell you, all 68 were found wanting in one way or the other, but 64 were so bad they shouldn't have even been passed. And the legislators, the funny thing about it, these guys, they sign for these brown envelopes. They don't even deliberate. The people come and say, we want you to do this, and all they sign here, and they take their signature. They have fixed their signatures on those things. They go and they vote in favor of it. At the end of the day, these things are passed without any thought of local contents to protect the rights of the people. We're talking about environmental degradation occurring all over the place. Mines are operating without any environmental care or conduct. And there is nobody to hold them. So even if the EPA did something, the legislator from a particular place will come and say, man, forget about the people, man. So the funny thing is, our legislators are even PR people for the companies that function within their districts. That's how bad it is in Liberia. So at the end of the day, the Liberian people draw the short stick. There is no benefit that comes, no lasting benefit that comes to the people. There is no material improvement in their well-being because we have entrusted a group of people with national decision-making who have no interest in the lot of the poor. I'm even talking about from the presidency to the senators and the representatives. They have no interest in you, but you will jump on the street, you will sing songs, you will hail them, you will elect them, and they will go back there and they will do the same thing. It's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. The 52nd legislature did the same thing. They were only there. What did they even do? They enshrine their benefits and their salary as law. Who does that? To make their salary law, their salaries law, because they knew that it was so wrong. It was an abuse of trust. But to go and rescind it or to repeal it, it would take a process. You have to have 2/3 voting to repeal that law that enshrines their benefits. I don't see it happening in the near future. So as a result, the Liberian people are saddled with this huge bill, for compensation for the national legislature for a job that they are not doing at all. They're not doing anything to protect the rights of the common man. They are not doing anything to advance the cause of the common man. They are not doing checks and balances. They don't care about the constituents, but yet and still we vote for them. Every year we go, we change some, but we also retain some of the worst offenders. One of the worst offenders in Liberia is Edwin Melvin Snow. That guy is one of the worst offenders. He is one of the most corrupt member of the Senate today. And guess what? Let me tell you another funny thing. When the last election was held and people graduated from Snow, Moy, and I think 2 other persons graduated from the House of Representatives to the Senate, guess what? They drew their salaries for the two bodies. When they were inducted into office at the end of the month, they took salary as members of the House of Representatives, 15,000. Then they took salary as members of the Senate, 15,000 plus. These are the people we entrusted, though. Do they care that our hospitals that in Monrovia, I'm not even talking about other place, a city of 1.4 million people, we don't even have a correct triage that we can count on an emergency center that can cater to emergency patients. We don't have it. They don't care. We don't have functioning fire service that if your house is burning in Monrovia, you can count on the fire service being there. Even if it will be damaged, at least the entire house will not be burned down. You don't have that, because the first thing, where are they going to take the water from? Is it the Pupu-Du River that they're going to take the water from to cut off the fire in your house? Just sit and think. And we do not hold these people accountable. We don't put any pressure on them. When you want to talk, the people say, you lead the people thing. Who people think? Who is going to hold them? So as a result, corruption has been legalized in Liberia. Okay? Corruption has been legalized in Liberia. Those same people sat down, the 52nd, they sat down and they approved a deal that started under Judith Bryant to Philip Eze to buy certain oil blocks. That he, in turn, a Nigerian man, walked into Liberia with very little money, convinced few corrupt politicians, including members of the Senate and members of the House of Representatives, and they sat down there and they allowed him to buy an oil block for less than $2 million he spent to get that oil block. You know how much he sold it for to Chevron? Just for the rights to explore? $250 million. Philip Eze, a Nigerian man, walked out of Liberia with over $200 million after he had taken care of Robert Salif or whoever else that was involved. He walked out of Liberia with over $200 million. Guess what? Philip Eze went and bought a jet plane that Madame Salif used to borrow on her travels around West Africa. That's how cursed we are as a people. People do not know how things work. They look at the power in their hand and they say, oh, if I utilize this power, it's going to affect positively the life of Anthony Sear and Dennis Jah. I don't want Anthony to benefit. I don't want Dennis to benefit. So I'm not going to do this way. I'm going to take less, and I'm not going to I'm not going to perform my fiduciary duties or my constitutional duties, because if I do, my neighbors are going to benefit, and I want my neighbors to look at me because God has blessed me, so I'm up there. So I want the rest of the people around me to be looking up at me when I'm driving in my air-conditioned car. My air-conditioned $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 SUV. I want them to be looking at me and hailing me as a hero. One of the funniest thing about this, we will go to these places when they are assembled. We will rally around them. We will enjoy their fanfare and their galas. And we go home hungry, wallowing in penury and abject poverty. Okay? It's the same thing that happened on Tottenham. It happened on Tobo. It happened on Doe. It happened on Charles Taylor. It's still happening on Selid. It happened today on George Weah. We look at the heavy convoys passing, and we love the fact that people are prospering and we are in poverty. It's a mentality. We are not demanding anything from them, and we are not asking anything of them. Okay? We just want to welcome you once more. This is On Point. My name is George Kanneh Tulay. I'm here today. Normally it's Mr. Jerome Gaiman and myself who are here on Sundays, but today he's celebrating his son's graduation in Massachusetts from Clark University with a bachelor's degree in biology. And I'm here today all by myself, and I'm looking at legalized corruption in Liberia. And I'm asking you, will you vote for some of the people you see today? What is your desire to see? Should Darius Dillon return his $15,000 to the people that gave it to him and say, this money is poison, this money is corrupt, I don't want any part of it, I'm giving you back your money? Do you think it's the right thing to do, that he should return that money? I believe, in my own view, that it is right for him to return the $15,000. I believe that it would be a process of reclaiming his image, because as I can tell you right now, he is getting solid. He's blending with that crowd of corrupt politicians that he is a part of. He's blending in with them. And as we see, it's only going to envelop him, it's going to overwhelm him, it's going to swallow him up, and he will become a non-entity. He will become just one of them, nameless, faceless, a member of a group of corrupt individuals enriching themselves at the mercy and at the plight of the Liberian people. Is that what we want to see? What do we want to see? Do we want to see prudence? Do we want to see accountability? Do we want to see our decision makers, our lawmakers, acting on our behalf, demanding probity from the people in power, from the executive, telling President, enough is enough. You can only go this far. You can't go any further. This is where we are today in our national sojourn. In our walk as a nation, we have three branches of government. The most pivotal branch of government is the national legislature. They have the power to say, hey, wait, we don't agree with this. This is not in this. Okay, this is not in a favor of our people. This one, we don't want you doing this. We believe that this one will not benefit the Liberian people. How many times have you and I heard one of them go on national TV or radio and ask the people, and ask the people and tell the people, say, hey, this is what Dillon should have done. If he's really the light, if he's really against corruption. Now, understand something. Dillon and I come from the same political party. I do not believe in propping up anybody. I believe in saying it as it is. If you are corrupt, we will call you out. If your acts are not clear, we will call you out, because we want Liberia to change. And change must start within the house. It must start amongst us who call ourselves certain people. The change should start with us. And I can tell you now that the fact is, Dillon taking that money doesn't show that he's an agent of change. Okay? Because if you look at the $1 million, think about how many things that $1 million could have been used to do for the Liberian people. How much that money could have been used. Think about it, $1 million. An ambulance cost around 60,000, 60, 70,000, less than that, or around that, US dollars. With $1 million, they could have bought 10 and equip them with medical equipment and send them out so that counties will have them. So when people are sick, when someone is sick, when a pregnant woman is having a hard time having her birth in a village, they can call, and that because Liberia is not very big, our counties are not very, very large. So within 1-2 hours, they can get to another place, and they can pick up that sick person and bring them to the medical center, like in Lufa, for instance, Teleweo. You can get somebody from Foya to Vonjema in less than 2 hours. Okay? In less than 2 hours, you can get somebody from Foya to Vonjema, even if the road is that bad. You get a very good Toyota Land Cruiser SUV and they can be working on stabilizing the individual, the victim, or the sick person before they can get them to the health center. So we could get 10 ambulances, well staffed, well equipped, sent to 10 counties. The next amount of money they want to take again, if they were thinking for the people, legislative engagement, no, to do what? What money how much you can do with $15,000? How much Dillon can do in Montserrat County with $15,000 as an individual? How much? That's the $1 million question. How much as an individual can Dillon do with that money? That's the $1 million question. How much can he do? So the first thing, instead of taking a very small amount of money and messing your character, just tell them, no, I don't want it. And then go and hold a press conference, tell Liberian people, this is what is obtaining. I'm now a part of it. And I told them, everyone should return the money. We want to say today that every lawmaker should return that $15,000 back to the national coffers so that it can be used for a project. They can build computer labs in public schools to start educating. They can use the $1 million. So they have I just seen something here. Okay. In fact, it's not even look at this. It's not even 15,000. It's 30,000 US dollars per person for legislative engagement. In other words, for stealing. If that thing doesn't boil your blood, then you don't love Liberia. Okay? Upon the $15,000 we give to them every year, when they were changing, couple of them, when they were elected from the House of Senate, represented to the House of Senate, couple of them collected their salary, their entire benefits for the House of Representatives within the month. And then they went on also to collect their entire benefit also for the House of Senate. Tell me, how is that not stealing? How is that not stealing? The new Liberian paper says is double dipping. That's stealing. That's stealing. That is corruption. That is criminal. And these are the people that we entrust with our national processes who don't really care. Let me tell you something. The only reason why those guys took that money, because when they know when they take it, there'll be no consequences. Nobody will hold them accountable. They know. Because when some of us start to talk, they know that they have friends out there who will say, oh man, we are in defense of these guys. So they are aware. So they know that the Liberian people, we are fickle-minded. They know we can't stick with anything. They know. They know. Let me give you a typical history of how fickle-minded we are. 5 auditors were killed. 5 people, financial people, were killed in Monrovia. We made noise for 2 weeks, maybe 3, and we forgot about it. And they were buried, and that's the end of it. There has been no accountability. Now, a single person, besides the guy who lived in the head of the auditing agency, his house, his friend that was arrested, no other person, maybe his body, maybe his security man, no person of consequence were arrested. Nobody was arrested for that case. 5 persons died in Monrovia. Nothing. We just made noise for 2 weeks. The 3rd week, everybody went back to their business. That's how bad we are. So what we're going to do now, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll read some of the comments. I don't know if we have comments. And then from there, we will open the lines for people to call and and make statements. And we appreciate it. Okay. The first thing, as soon as I go to the comment, I see somebody insulting me for talking nonsense. Yes, I'll keep talking nonsense. What is nonsensical to you are facts. We have Edwin Melvin Snow. All he has been is a collaborator, is a deal maker for more stealing to go on. That's how he lost his seat in the first place as speaker. And that's all he's been doing as a member of the House of Representatives and now as a senator. He's a deal maker on how to pass more criminal concessions or criminal agreements or criminal laws that support the executive, whatever the president wants to do. Okay, that's all they're there for. Whatever the president wants to do, what you got for us, give it to us, and then you do what you want to do. Like this person, $30,000 annual budgeted amount in that 3 million, the 3 million that they passed, they put $30,000 for each of them there. So we got 100. So we're talking about 3 million people, $3 million. All of 300 million, $3 million was placed there for legislative engagement. So they know even if they spend some more money, they will tip people, maybe they spend 2,000 each, and the rest of the money goes into their pockets. That is what we are talking about. And somebody say we're talking nonsense. Yes, we'll keep talking nonsense because we'll keep shining the positive light on the criminal elements in government. We'll take a break now, and then when we come back, we'll look at our comments, and then from the comments, we'll take a few calls before we close the show.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Okay, welcome once more to Focus on Liberia on Point. My name is George Kanneh Tulay. Today, my co-host, Mr. Jerome Gilman, is not here. He's away, and we are looking at the issue of legalized corruption in Liberia, and we'll be going to the comments. All right, and I will just. Somebody said, "You are so wrong, Saki White. You are so wrong, Mr. Tulay. Who uses the money if it is returned? We are in Twitter on their social, right? So why shouldn't Dillon recapture it and give it to its legitimate owners? How many persons in Montserrado? In Montserrado have more than 1 million persons. What is $15,000 going to do for 1 million? Would it be effective to shorten the monologue and deal with specific issues segment by segment? Sometimes people have short attention span. Let's discuss point by point, please. Yeah, I understand because we brought Dillon up. Let's go ahead, sir. Okay, yeah, we already read this. Saki White. If I find it a strange form, I find this what is that money? If you're asking your audience to weigh in on a topic, you need to be specific about the charges. Why is it necessary to attack one individual when your topic is national corruption? What exactly has Dillon done? Who gave him money? For what purpose? What did he use the money for? Hold on, before we go forward, let me just address this. The reason why we are speaking, because before Dillon went into the House of Senate, There were no voices coming out of the House or Senate addressing specific issues on corruption or the use of money, how much their remunerations, how much they collected in terms of their benefit package, their salaries, or whatever. No one, everything was there. Everyone, it was a moot point. Nobody was speaking on it. Dillon calls himself the light. He's some. Let me tell you something. I'm not talking about somebody who's a stranger. I know Dillon point to point, like I know anybody else. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying this is because everybody, there have been an uproar of Dillon collecting that money. A lot of people who support and believe in Dillon were taken aback by him taking that money, because that money, the intended purpose for that money was corruption. Okay, they wanted to make sure that those who took the money were solid, that they wouldn't have the ability to speak any further. And Dillon taking that money, all right, it impugns his character. So he needs to understand that he has the public glare. He's within the public spotlight. He needs to understand that his actions are weighed and measured more than even that of George Weah's. Because George Weah never said, I'm an agent of change. They don't say he's an agent of change. So the money we're talking about is the $30,000 per legislator that was in that emergency budget that was passed, the half-year budget, the 6 months budget, the $300 million that was passed. They put $30,000 there for each legislator to use for what they call legislative engagement. What is that? What does it mean? What is the scope? What is the checks and balance? Who holds them accountable if they eat the money for themselves? Let's go ahead. The annual $15,000 had already been paid up front. They gave them 15. There's another 15 coming up. And they wouldn't have taken that money if he wasn't in that crowd. Because of the people he affiliates with right now, they're able to. Somebody is saying Dillon is not the light. You guys need to stop wasting your time. Some of us still believe in him, and that's why we're saying return their money. If each of the legislators received the perceived bribery, why is Dillon being specified in this discussion? I'm a bit confused about the objective of this show. Well, thanks for your confusion, Theodore. Liberia will change with all these little efforts here and there. So keep creating the awareness for change. Philip Wood. Thank you, sir. We have another one. Okay, Theodore Hodge again. If each legislator received a specific or perceived bribe, we already had this. Okay, so I think our comments are done for today. We said we're going to make the show interactive. We're going to have a short segment where people can call in and contribute. So I think the number is on the screen. All right, the number is on the screen. This is on point, on focus on Liberia, and we are discussing legalized corruption in Liberia. It is very important that we discuss these issues, that we throw light on them, that we bring it to the fore, so that people will realize what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a cabal of corrupt individuals, a real cartel. The national legislature have adorned himself with the title of being the most corrupt legislative body on the face of planet Earth. And all they care about is what goes into their pocket, their bottom line. They don't care about the people walking down the street. And you know who I blame? I blame the common man who has elected them time and again, knowing fully well that they have never done anything to better the lot of the common man. My colleague here, my producer, Anthony always says to improve the material well-being of the Liberian people. Our national legislature have not functioned in that vein. Checks and balances to protect the people. Guess what? Let me tell you another thing that they did. Charles Taylor passed a petroleum law. In the petroleum law, Charles Taylor, in his benevolence, created, if you got a call, you can always put the call through, Anthony, if we have a call. Charles Taylor, in his benevolence, out of the 100% of every petroleum deal, created a buffer, 5% for as local content, to ensure that the local people, typical Liberians, can buy into any petroleum project or whatever and become part owners of it. We were given that right by Charles Taylor. Madam Seliv, she reviewed the law and she kept the local content that the ordinary market people could be able to buy into any oil well up to 5%, which is a lot of money at the end of the day that will come into the hands of the local populace. George, we are people. This present 54th, they changed the law. They revised the law and removed it and took it from the common man. So the common man cannot buy it anymore. It's only reserved now for local businesses. So instead of the common man owning it, going, okay, we have a caller. All right, let's take the caller. Hello, caller. Okay, when you can get through, that'll be fine. So instead of the common man, a market woman can buy shares.
Yeah, go ahead, caller. George, your caller is ready.
All right.
All right. Hello, John.
What's the caller? What's the name? And where are you calling from?
This is John Mawolo calling from Maryland.
All right, John. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, as far as this money issue with the Senate, I think the Liberian people should be more angry with the whole legislature instead of concentrating on Dillon. Dillon has done what he said he would do. He exposed it. And this thing, they tell me, has been going on since, I think, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
All the senators have been getting it. Nobody said anything. Nobody didn't know. Even when George Weah was president, a senator, they say he got up to $250,000 of that same kind of money. Now, they suspended it because they said they didn't have money recently until now. Dillon says since he became senator, it's the first time they're giving it to them. And it's supposed to be 30,000. They only gave them 15. So I think instead of the Liberian people focusing on whether Dillon accepted or didn't accept it, because they did the same thing when he said he would take only 5,000 of his pay, and he still does it. But no, the Liberian people haven't gotten annoyed with the other people who not giving their salary out. The only Dillon is taking 5,000. The rest are still taking what they take.
Okay.
So that's not fair to Dillon. So we should be getting angry with the whole legislature and the president.
Mr. Maulo, if I may come in briefly, the only reason why I highlighted Dillon because he and I come from the same party. Understand something? And when you say you are the light, when you use a particular platform, right, with rhetorics and philosophy and ideology to get elected, maintain it. These same monies were questioned by Dillon before he became a senator. Keep questioning them. Don't change. That is my point. Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with that. Understand something? There is nothing wrong with that of us saying, look, bro, keep questioning them. Do not take the money. Because guess what? If Dillon becomes the torch carrier, the torch bearer on this issue of that money being removed from the national budget and not given to them at all, and there is an outcry, public outcry for them to return all the money, it will be very, very good. But he took it and he was silent. That is our point. It's wrong in every way. That money is wrong. Madam said he put that money there as a way of the national legislators. They demanded that money. They put it there and they demanded, look, they can't pay themselves anymore now because it's already law. Their salary is already law. So what we need to do to get more money, let's put this legislative engagement. That's what it is. It's stealing. So I said the national legislator. Hold on, Mr. Mawolo. I said the national legislator has legalized stealing. I didn't say Dillon legalized stealing. But the reason why I highlighted Dillon, I highlighted him with a very positive light. I said return the money, don't take any more, and become the light and keep being the light that you say you want to be. So we're talking about legalized corruption, not from Dillon's perspective alone, but from the entire national legislature, of which he's a part. Okay, so make your last point because we got to go on to the next caller.
Okay, George, I was not basing my talk on what you said. What I'm saying that we, the Liberian people, should get annoyed and get agitated towards the legislature and the government for doing what they're doing to us,
Yeah.
taking money that they don't even have aspirin in the JFK, and they're taking $15,000, $30,000 to get it individuals who are being eaten it and continue to eat it. Listen, I think Dylan, nothing wrong with him taking it. I think he shouldn't use it. He should keep it in the escrow until the Liberian people get on the government tool, return these monies, and stop using it. He can
Yeah.
take it and give it back. But he
Okay.
got to have it to show that they gave it because they
All
can
right.
lie. Even if he gave it back now, they will use it for something else, and Liberian people will sit there. So let them
Okay.
get mad. Let them get annoyed and harass the legislature for it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your call, Mr. Maulu.
Yeah, that was the only caller, Josh.
All right. Okay. So our time is winding down, but from what we are looking at, you see, every time you want to discuss anything that has to throw light, negative light on people that are respected by others, this is not, a retort to Mr. Maulu, but anytime we want to do, I'm talking about some of the comments and stuff like that. Look, I tell you something. Nobody loves Dylan more than me. I love him. I respect him. Okay? But I'm telling you, if you do something that's not right, taking that money is not right because you know the foundation of the money. The money is quid pro quo. You know that the money was only made available because they said, "Oh, you want to pass this emergency measure budget? We got to eat something. What inside for us?" So even if they collected a brown envelope, they say it's not enough. They wanted more. So the government has to put, the finance ministry have to put in the budget now extra measure for them to pad their pockets. It's wrong. And these guys, when they get sick, they put them in plane and take them to Accra, Ghana. And none of them ever sit down and say, look, listen, they got a committee on health in both the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. How can the Committee on Health look at our health care delivery system in totality, bring the professionals together, let's sit at a table and look at where we are, what measures need to be taken to upgrade our healthcare delivery system. It's not only in terms of educating our healthcare people, the nurses and the doctors, the midwives and things. No, it's not only limited to that. It's also the equipment, the infrastructure, critical health infrastructure across the country. We have to make sure that the Southeast have access, apart from Nimba, to another one that is close by, maybe in River G or anywhere over there that people in Sino, not Sino, but Grand Crew, Maryland, River G, they need a good health care center that they can be able to rush, a real healthcare center where people can be treated. These are the things, points of access. People in these counties, where can they go? Okay, we know CH Rainey is there. Where can they go? We know Telaware is there. Where can they go? We know Phoebe, Current Hospital, there. What then you look at Current Hospital, look at Phoebe. What needs to be done to bring it up so that it can't only be for stomach running and malaria and typhoid, but when somebody have a critical condition like a diabetic crisis, what can be done? Can Phoebe take care of the person? Nada, zero. So these are the issues that we are looking at. Okay, these are the issues that we are looking at. National, they're not only there to be passing bills, but they are the watchdogs to look around the country, to carry their eyes to and fro upon Liberia and see what needs to be done, what changes need to be executed, what changes need to be brought to bear. I'll give you a common example. Across the bridge right now, we have foreigners who have been partners with us for generations, even before I was born. Some of their families were in Liberia. These guys, like the Fuani brothers, for instance, I will specify them here. Fuani brothers import a particular brand of type of vegetable oil, something that's always vegetable oil. That oil they importing is not vegetable oil. That oil has hydrogenated animal fat in it. That oil is so bad, it's so oxidative, it's causing a lot of high cholesterol. It's causing a lot of blockage and is contributing to coronary events. It's contributing to cardiovascular events in Liberia. I'm telling you today. Nobody goes and say, well, this thing you bring in and selling to our people, that clear alcohol oil that you buy in the market, and something you look at it like that thing is poison. Our people are drinking and are using to cook food. all right, in ago oil, in engraving and other stuff. And that thing is contributing to the high incidence of diabetes. It's not only the sugar, but also the kind of oil that you consume. Okay, and nobody says anything about it. And every day, people stroke, people dropping. This person got pressure. This person, and it's a national crisis. It's a national security issue in Liberia, because how many of us in Liberia have the wherewithal that if you have a pressure, that golden hour? In fact, it's not even possible, because when you fall off, that golden hour is lost. Because my auntie passed away. Her son was so broken. Why? When she got sick, they had to take her from hospital to hospital to hospital to hospital, all across Monrovia like this, from Gardnersville, where they live on the Gardnersville Road. They stopped from clinic to clinic to clinic. Nobody could take care of the old lady. She was breathing and in distress, about to lose her life, and nobody took care of her. When they finally got her, I think, to either be or Kanneh Hospital, she was gone. These are the things that people think about. One of the members of the National Legislature, a CDC person, he lost his daughter. She got sick, and the care was inadequate to take care of her. Did he become a crusader for care for us as a nation? No, he did not become a crusader. No, he lost his daughter. Unfortunately, God rest her soul, he buried her and he moved on with life. He never became a crusader for those who would become victims of the same thing that his daughter became a victim of. He never became a crusader and say, hey, let's look at JFK Hospital. How much money do we need to upgrade that facility? How much do we need to spend to make that hospital a first-class triaging center that health, cardiovascular, urological, all these different issues that are affecting like when people, you have to fly to Ghana. How can we create the capacity locally? It's a job of the national legislature to call the members of the people, the officials of the health Ministry of Health in Liberia, and say, hey, this is where we are, this is what we've seen. What can we do? Hold a hearing, ask them questions and see, and then make provisions in the national budget to make provisions in the national budget to respond to these needs. Nothing. Okay, even the summon traffic in Monrovia, Madam Sally she chose that place in Congo Town to build the ministries, whatever they call it, the group of ministries she has there. Did she take into consideration the traffic flow to say, okay, you know what? Then let's just build an overpass where people, then we clear some of these buildings from around here, create, an overpass to address the incoming traffic situation. Nothing was done. Absolutely nothing. So as a result, it has increased the suffering of our people in Liberia. My people, this is reality we are talking about here. The legislators are the custodians of Liberia. They are the watchdog of the executive. Okay? They are the watchdogs of the executive. They are there to watch and to ask, to make inquiries, to ask and say, why is this one out of place? Okay, they are like monitors and evaluators of the whole governmental processes. But unfortunately, if you take people who do not know how things work, how things ought to be, they will make no adjustments to how things work and how things ought to be. And that's why Liberia is the way it is today. To change this, we the people have to start putting pressure on our elected officials. That's why I'm putting pressure on Darius Dillon today. Mr. Mauro says, keep the money in escrow, put pressure on the entire national legislature to return that money and stop the ministry from paying the extra money. Then the national legislature can now say, okay, the money that you budgeted for us, the $3 million plus, this is how we want to spend it. Okay, we are not looking at individuals here. We want to help public education in Liberia. So that $3 million, we're going to build IT centers in some of our major public schools across Liberia to start educating our people, our young people, in the 21st century way. They can say that $3 million, this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to build IT labs and create IT education in our public schools. They can say that, okay, or that $3 million, we will use it to build a cardiovascular center at JFK, because the present building already have use for everything. So we build, the JFK land is very big. In the front, on the side, we build a cardiovascular center where people can go and get examinations and get checks and everything with cardiologists working, because a lot of people die in Liberia. They're dying for preventable cardiological events. So let's create it. $3 million is enough. It can build the structure, it can buy some of the equipment, and we can get people to donate to make that place up, with MRI or CT scan, CAT scan, or how you call it, echocardiogram, to check the heart, to see the structure of the heart, and then EKG. How you call it? EKG, the echocardiogram, and the EKG that checks the rhythm of the heart. All these different things we want to put there. We want to be able to do stress tests locally. $3 million is a seed money that can go into that purpose. This is what we are saying. Stop stealing legally. You've done so much stealing. Most of you people are rich. Those who are just coming, if they're not rich, well, the purpose of being a national legislator is not to be rich. It's to function and do what the people send you there to do. Checks and balances to make sure that government is doing what the government created to do. And that is, at the end of the day, to improve the material well-being of the Liberian people. If that is not done, you have failed in your fiduciary duties, because you are there to ask the executive, this money that was budgeted, how was it used? These actions that you took, what did it translate to? How had the people benefited? And then now you can make laws to counteract some of the excesses or the abuses or the malfeasance in the executive, so that those laws can be on the book to protect the rights and lives of the people. If you don't do that, you have failed in your duty as a legislator, and you have failed in your duty as a national legislature. So this is what I have on my mind. This is the most thing that I have on point today. The legalized corruption, that is, even their salary is part of that legalized corruption. The money, they kept increasing the money in the deliberation, the yearly budget with Madam Salif. She wanted extra things done out of the constitutional process, and they saw her excesses, and they said, okay, if you want this, we want this too. So that money they kept adding and adding and adding. At the end of the day, when they had enough, they enshrined it into law. It's legalized corruption. They are not even doing their work to deserve that money. None of us here will want to pay somebody for work that they're not doing. Unfortunately, the Liberian people are paying 101 or 100 and whatever of individuals, heavy sums of money on a monthly basis that they are not earning. These people, they are not earning, they are abusing, they are not honorable, they are dishonorable, and we should not promote them, we should not respect them, we should not call them honorable people because they're not honorable. And I will make this clarion call to Senator Darius Dillon. Take the money, put it back together, and send it to them. Don't keep it, don't even put it in escrow. Take your hand off it and let the Liberian people know. Okay, initially I thought it was a good thing to take this money and use, but then on hindsight, with wisdom, I decided that it was a poison chalice. I wanted to have nothing to do with it, and I returned the money. And I thank you people who raised the issue up and kept me, within the bounds and kept me back on track. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. Go and talk to your constituents and tell them why you made the decision and how it has affected you and how the pressure they put on you and it causes wise men changes. They'll respect you. But to insist that you have the right to use it because it's budgeted, why was it budgeted? Is the question that we are asking. It's because you allow the government to pass an emergency budgetary measure. And because of that, you say, okay, quid pro quo, you want it, we give us some, and they give you some. It is wrong. It is inherently foul. It is not right. It is an abuse of purpose. It's an abuse. It's a misunderstanding of the reason why you exist as a national legislature. And as a result, we are standing against it as the people, and we want to encourage the Liberian people. The next time we have an election, let's scrutinize those who come before us. Let's not send people based on sentiments, tribal leanings, or party affiliation. Let's vote for those we know that will represent us and those that will respect us. When we speak, they will listen and they will be afraid to act without You've got to know there'll be accountability. That is what I have for today. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in, for you know being a part of this show. Jerome will be with me next Sunday, and we will be discussing these issues again, and we'll be looking at them, and we'll be weighing them, and and in our usual way, he and I we go at each other because we support two different sides. For me, I come from the Liberty Party, full disclosure, but I'm not a partisan. I am a Liberian first individual. I believe in the commonwealth of every Liberian. What is better for Liberia is what I support. I do not care about party. Okay? I said something to my political leader last time. I said, ma'am, you have to make your voice heard. You have to speak on issues. People have to hear you to distinguish yourself. Honorable Darius Dillon, who has made some dishonorable decisions. You have to distinguish yourself. You have to regain your delight that you once carried and become honorable once more and start to speak to these issues. Do not be silent and do not form a part of the cabal, because at the end of the day, that money that people are taking are careful. Many of you people will lose on the last election, if not all. But someone like Snow will educate the people in Bomi not to re-elect him to that office, because he is inherently corrupt. He is inherently foul. He has no interest in the well-being of the Liberian people except to enrich himself and his cabal of corrupt friends. Someone like Boto, for instance, the councillor Vani Sherman, since he's been in the national legislature, I want to ask this question before I go. What has Vani Sherman done to protect the right and the privilege and to protect the right of the common man walking down the road? Can somebody give me one thing that Vani Sherman had done to protect the right of the ordinary people? One thing that Vani Sherman had done since he being a member of the Senate. One simple thing. I just want somebody to let me know, to say he spoke for the rights of the ordinary man. Let somebody just show me one thing that Vani Sherman had done. Nothing. One press conference to speak on an issue that pertains to the rights of the people. Nothing. Okay? Agriculture. We don't have an agriculture policy. What have they done? They have a committee that is responsible for that. What have they done to call the stakeholders together and say, come, you can talk to us. What can we do about agriculture? So we can increase our food production, increase our cash crop production, have a uniform agriculture policy that lifts up Liberia. Have they done it? Healthcare, zero. Education. When was the last time they called the stakeholders, those who run universities, those who run high schools, our major people from the government, from the private sector, call them together and say, okay, you know what? This is a legislative thing, but we'll do it outside the chambers of the legislature. Let's go to a place. Let's go to the city hall. We sit together at a round table. You tell us, you sit together, you put your head together, come up with a national policy for education for Liberia that we can adapt. That every government come, this is the policy we have. You will just tailor it, you will think of it a little bit, but this is the policy you have to work with. These are our goals. We want to see STEM. We want to see science, technology. This is what we want to invest in, science and technology. These are the outcomes that we want to have after 10 years. So whether government come, government go, these are the outcomes. How can they say, look, this 3% budget or whatever percent budget for education is not enough of the budget? How can we improve or increase the budgetary allotment for education so that we can have attainable outcomes? These are the things that you are there for, not to sign bogus contracts and concessional agreements and enrich yourself at the benefit of the people. So this has been On Point. My name is George Kanneh Tulay. We'll be here next Sunday, and we've been talking about legalized corruption in Liberia, the case of the national legislature. And guess what? This topic is just the beginning. Tune in next week because we'll be going back into it again. We cannot stop signing the clarion on this issue. We cannot start making noise on this issue. Liberia is not going anywhere, not solely because of the executive, but because we have a corrupt cabal of men who occupy the central position, the most pivotal branch of government, the national legislature. Okay, we have a group of men who have no regard for the common man. They don't care about the suffering of the everyday Liberian. All they are there to reach themselves. So as a result, nothing works in Liberia. If we want to hold George Weah, let me tell you something. If we had Dillon, 20 Dillon, or 10, 50, there are 30 senators, if we had 10 of them championing the cause of the poor, and we had maybe 40 people in the House of Representatives championing the cause of the poor, George Weah will not be doing what he's doing today. No. The abuses that you see with Tulay and McGill, you won't see it happening today. The typical example, the Senate, the National Legislature sits in Monrovia. Listen to this, man, people. Listen to this. The National Legislature sits in Monrovia. The city is squalid. The city is dirty. It's infested with rats, roaches, feces. The Do River have feces. We don't even have a functioning sewage treatment plant in Liberia, in Monrovia, a city of more than 100 million people. 1 million people. I live in a very small city. By Canadian standards, a large city. It's more than 100,000 people. Listen, they have everything a large city has here. Everything. Okay? And I've seen it because I've worked in the industry. I've worked maintaining sewage and drinking water treatment plants. I've done that job, and as a well-paying job. And I've seen firsthand the efforts that the people go, how the people are even afraid. Cities are afraid of their regional oversight bodies, because they'll tell you, say, if you don't do this with so time, we're shutting down that plant. And don't take it for fun, they will shut it down. They will shut down the city. And you know for the well who will be affected, the elected officials, they will lose the election. So everybody, they don't play with such things here. They don't play with such things here. When we go to redo sewage treatment plant, we have to do what they call the under drains. You know how much for one plastic under drain? $15,000. And a plant, I'm just telling you now, $15,000 just for one under drain, and a plant, one basin may have maybe 40. That's just one basin for filtering the wastewater. Okay, so I can't keep going on. So we'll be here next week. Like I said, this is George Kanneh. This is On Point. I thank you for being with me today, and we'll be here next Sunday at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. Me and Jerome will be here. We'll still be looking at issues like this. The National Legislature will look at them again. Some of the measures they've taken, how it affects negatively, how it impacts negatively the lives of the Liberian people. So I want to thank God for every one of you. I will be here next Sunday. God bless you, and I will see you again. This has been On Point. Thank you.
We all love you.